Hey everybody on YouTube, Hello Bella here. It is a rainy Sunday in Alabama and I am chilling at the house with the dogs. I just got an FBA shipment together, 49 pounds, mostly books, but a few retail arbitrage items in there. But I have some exciting news. I am going to be opening up a small space in an antique mall starting in March. So here is the space. You can see it's pretty minimalist. It has two walls so I can hang pictures and stuff, and a little square of carpet for my inventory. The antique mall is about 15 minutes away from me, and booth rent is, I believe, $60 a month, and yeah, so it's relatively low investment for a pretty high return. About 4 months ago, actually, yeah, 4 months ago in October, I made a video about should I open an antique mall, and this was after speaking with the antique mall owner and just kind of going through some ideas in my head about the potential of this place. And since then, I've kind of come to the conclusion that it's a good venture for me to get into and a good way for me to kind of grow my business and take all of those items that aren't necessarily worth shipping and put them in one space to kind of sell them off that way. So I made a little sheet here to talk about it. Nothing too fancy. I didn't even notice that I'm recording myself. Wow. Oh, geez. Sorry about that. Anyways, like I said, the rent is $60. The commission is 10% of sales, so pretty low, honestly. I mean, if you can't make that, then you really don't have any business being there. The venue is actually a two-story antique mall. It's been there for several years and really has an established reputation in town, so it's not like some fly-by-night antique mall. It's been there. It's going to stay there. It has a relatively good amount of customers coming in and some repeat customers and regulars, so I think that, you know, I couldn't have picked a better mall. They have an active social media account on Facebook and Instagram, and I actually have that pulled up. A lot of my viewers are people who know me from home and are local people who kind of keep up with what I'm doing, so some of my friends and family will know this place and really know what kind of place it is. It's an awesome place, and you can find stuff there all the time. And so they have a Facebook and an Instagram account, and they've really just been doing a great job with marketing in terms of bringing in new customers and I plan to use Facebook Marketplace to actually draw people in. You can see here that they keep up the Instagram page pretty much every day, posting something new, and you have to stay relevant in the mind of your customer, like you really do. Like, this dresser here is absolutely gorgeous. So just posting things like that vendors bring in is a great way to get people in, and you know, posting to Facebook Marketplace is another great way to draw people in who wouldn't necessarily come to an antique mall, but perhaps they want to see that item that you posted, and they'll come into the mall to buy it. So a few more bullet points to go over. The potential for more space. I can actually probably get another booth in time if I want one. You know, right now that's not on the forefront of my mind because all I really want to do right now is stock this booth and, you know, work on presentation and kind of see what kind of items are actually selling in the mall and kind of get a vague idea of how it's going to go. I wrote it was a great way to offload some smaller items. I'm sure you guys see items all the time that, you know, it's a $2 item and you know you could get $10 out of it, but after shipping and fees and everything like that on eBay, it's just not even worth it. So this is going to be a marketplace for me to bring things like that. And on the flip side, it's also a great way to offload larger items like furniture and, you know, some larger pictures that aren't really shippable, or if they are shippable, the shipping cost cuts into the profit so much that it's not even worth the time. So this is a great way to offload some of that, and I was discussing with some of my friends and you know, telling them, like, I see this stuff all the time. Like, I'm always running into it. So it's not a matter of, like, I have to go out now and look for antique mall things to stock my booth. It's really more of, like, okay, when I'm outsourcing for books or other things, I'm just grabbing a few things as well for my booth. So, this is definitely going to be a creative outlet for me. I really like staging things, and that's one of my favorite things that when I learned to sell on Etsy, I realized that, like, customers want something pretty. Like, I sold clothespins for years, and I mean, they were just clothespins, and I would sell them for $17.99, including shipping, for a set of 9 clothespins. And it really is all about the presentation of the product. So this is going to be a really good creative outlet for me, and a good social outlet as well, because I can tell that a lot of the vendors go in there daily. And especially when you're a reseller and you're working from home like this, we don't exactly get out that much, other than sourcing. And so I think it's going to be good for me to kind of have a place to go, have some people who do what I do, and kind of have, can bounce ideas off of them. So let's see what else we have to go over here. Yeah, so it could be a passive income stream in a way, and obviously it's not totally passive, but it is a passive income stream, because once I set up my booth and have everything the way that I want it to look, the mall is open 7 days a week, and they're handling my customer service, they're handling transactions, they're keeping essentially a report of what sells for me. So it is passive in a way. The downsides, I will be realistic with you and tell you that I have no clue how this is going to go over. I have no idea. Like, I don't have any hard data to really know how well it's going to go. I've spoken with other vendors, I've spoken with the mall owners, and everyone's kind of told me that they think I'll do well. So really, I've only had like an informal interviews with people who are doing the same thing. And I've actually been watching a lot of other YouTubers right now. I've been watching Pudgy Picker. She has an antique booth with her sister, and she's got some great content out there. You should check out her channel. And also, I believe it's Thrifty Treasures, and they did a podcast together, and it was really, really good, and kind of gave me some insight as to what types of items sell in a booth. You have a totally different market and a different customer who shops at an antique mall versus who shops at a regular store, right? There's a reason why they're in an antique store and, not at the mall. So another downside will be working to maintain the booth's appearance and stock level. So for instance, if something, say I have a shelf set up and someone wants to buy the shelf, and then I have all this other stuff stacked on the shelf, well, when the shelf sells, I'm going to have to come in and rearrange things. So I don't know how hands-on that's going to be at this point. And at the end of the day, it's just a new opportunity, and if 3 months go by and I don't like doing it, then I'm not going to do it anymore, But I really don't think I have very much to lose, and I have a lot to learn, and that's just part of being an entrepreneur, is you kind of jump into things with the information that you have, and you try to make the most rational decision that you can make. And I think that this is going to be a good outlet for me at the end of the day. So I will just talk about my goals for revenue. At the moment, I think a really modest goal will be profiting $300 to $500 a month for this. And I think that's pretty, realistic, but at the same time, the first month or two, I don't expect to really do much at all. Maybe just get set up and make my booth rent and break even and kind of see how things go. But after I'm there for, 3 to 6 months, if I'm not making at least a significant amount of income, then I'm not going to continue on with the venture, because it just wouldn't make sense to put my time into it. I try to see everything that I do, in terms of business. I have to look at the ROI, like what's my return after I put my time in, I put my money in, all these efforts, and you put your heart into these kind of things. So I have to make sure that it's going to be necessarily good for all of those ROIs, and make sure that, it's worth the time and the effort. As far as ease of access to the booth goes, it's about 15 minutes from my house, and if we look back on this booth, you see the door right here. It's on the second story. The door is a loading dock, so I'm going to be in the way. Like one of the vendors pointed out, like, you need to make sure your stuff's not in the aisle, because other vendors will always be bringing stuff through this door. So it was great to have that pointed out to me early on. And that's just some of the kind of gumshoe research you have to do when you're planning something like this. You got to get out and talk to people. You cannot just go do this blindly. If you just ask other vendors, they will definitely help you. Like, they want you to succeed, at least in my area, where, I'm sure that they're wanting everyone to do well, because if your booth looks good, that makes the mall look good, and everyone at the end of the day just wants, the best presentation possible, because that means that they're making money. Let's see. Oh, I put what I needed honestly, I don't know how well that they keep up with their sales reports. As far as I know, they just do a slip of paper, and that tells you what sold and for how much, and I guess your cut of the item. I would much rather see some sort of electronic version of this, like a spreadsheet, or maybe some kind of real-time report that if you had a Google Doc, you could actually put in the items in everyone's individual Google Doc, and it would be a shared Google Doc, and so then you could find it anytime during the day, just update it as things sell. So I may talk with them about that. It's not totally necessary, but it would definitely keep me motivated if I could see, things are selling throughout the day, because month to month, it's really hard to see how well you're doing if you only get a report at the end of the month. So I will try to figure out some kind of real-time reports that we can get, especially like if we could even, kind of look at, well, what kind of customer came in? Did they buy one item or did they buy three? How much money was your average sale? Like, this is the kind of data that would really help me, that I think is probably not necessarily really a thing that goes on in antique malls, because antique malls are sort of old-fashioned in their essence. But what I've been reading and listening to in some other podcasts is that there's a few antique malls that actually do this. So, in terms of giving your vendors the best data possible, I think that that's a really good way, because, if they're saying, okay, well, this item has sold 7 or 8 times this week, but some of your other items aren't moving at all, well, you can discount the item. And another thing that I thought about doing is actually kind of coming up with some sort of dating system for the items, seeing how long they've been in my inventory, so that I can discount them as needed. But the thing about antique malls is it's a little different, because your customer has to be the right customer to find that item. Like, they have to, really want it. And one thing I'm trying to do for my booth is give my style, basically kind of the way that I'm decorating my house. I want my booth to be an extension of me, if you will, like some sort of, personality to the booth. I don't want it to be just a bunch of random yard sale crap. Like, I cannot stand going to a booth and looking at that. Presentation is really everything with this, so I'm really wanting to put some effort into it and use my kind of creative freedom to make it look nice and just make it be something that I can be proud of. So yeah, but that's really it for you guys. I am really excited about this venture. I did not think I would have an antique booth at 23 years old. They told me that I'm probably going to be the youngest vendor in the mall, which I think is hilarious. But I've been doing this for 10 years, guys. I started when I was 13 and I'm 23, so that's 10 years of selling stuff. So in terms of business, I'm not worried at all. Like, I'm not worried about financial risk or anything like that, because the startup cost is so low. Like, it's really not anything to be concerned with. I really spend more than $60 going out buying products on daily. So, but I am worried about whether or not it's going to be worth the time. So I will let you guys know. I'll give you an update as soon as I get everything ready, and I may do a before and after video when I get my booth set up. I may do like a walkthrough of the mall and the booth, as long as the owners are okay with that. But yeah, that's what's going on, guys. I'm starting my first little antique mall venture, and I hope that I have great luck with it. I would love to hear from you in the comment section if you guys have experience with a booth in a mall, and what type of mall it was and how big it was. What was your booth rent? What was your average monthly profit? Things like that. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great week.